Recently I got my Ironman Max cape. The next grind? Another cape. Hot air balloons aren't super useful, but we need to unlock all the routes for the Master Quest cape because there's lore hidden behind it, I guess. The monk that runs this balloon service, August, is based on both the Swiss balloonist Auguste Piccard, it's probably pronounced differently, and Jean-Luc Picard, the captain of the Enterprise from Star Trek. Many sticklers will say the phrase "to boldly go where no man has gone before" is grammatically incorrect, that you're not allowed to split the infinitive. Proper grammar would require it to be "to go boldly" or "boldly to go." Putting an adverb between the verb and the to is a grammatical error. But here's the thing, that sounds dumb. You know, I was gonna go on a big rant about how much I despise grammar pedantry, but honestly, whoever cares about this sort of stuff, they ain't really worth talking to. That last sentence had 4, possibly 5 grammatical errors in it. The only way you couldn't understand it would be if either you don't speak English or you're being intentionally obtuse. If the former, good luck understanding the rest of the video. If the latter, just stop. Now we need to give all the beacon tenders macaw familiars so they can see other beacons from further away. Some of them want extra stuff as well, such as white fruit or a lava eel. Oh, I need to get my oily fishing rod back. Okay, thanks Garant. Garant? Yeah, so a lava eel. We also need a Davy Kebbit hat, so we need to hunt some diseased kebbits, but because these are Ooglog hunter creatures, we need to burn certain plants to attract them. I knew some people in high school like this. I need to read better. They flee from lavender. They just can't get enough of that tanzimum. Oh, I'm stupid. They hate tanzimum, makes them aggressive. They love fever grass. All this work for a dumb hat. We just need to run to each of the beacon keepers and give them the stuff they want. Mostly just the macaw pouch, but some of them need a bit extra. Now, we can see the status of the other beacons from further away. Super useful for when we need to get our Inferno ads that we already have. Eagle! I actually got this achievement while handing out the macaws, ironically. They're very different birds. I had to place a teasing stick on a vine and wait for it to grow so I can enter the eagle's eyrie. Weird. I also have to build this rope stand and get
infinite rope.
Oh, this is cute. For the Lurgan's Run achievement, we need to talk to Lurgan, the Durgishan Goblin, and get permission from one of the Goblin counselors so we can help trade Goblin food to Goblin patrons throughout the Goblin City. Goblin. And I noticed they were having a discussion about what color the Mine Guard's armor should be, but it was quite civil. And regardless of the decision, it'd still need to go up for a vote with the rest of the council. A lot better than what those Tharobshun and Garagorshun tribes do to solve disputes. I love democracy. We need to learn the secrets of hemalchemy from Venescula, my love, after the River of Blood quest. I'm not sure if any of these blood essences are useful, especially compared to what other pocket slot options there are, but I'll take the vampiric one, I guess. Scabigail. We need to collect all the Scabarite notes by killing a bunch of monsters in and around the ruins of Ulek. I opted to kill the Scabarites in the area where you confront the priest during the quest dealing with Scabarus, and I saw these creepy little buggers. Scarab larva. I mean, it makes sense that bug people would start life in a larval form, but I just never really thought about it, and I never expected such a creature to actually be in the game. The only time I'm ever in this area is when I'm sort of a low level trying to quickly chat with the priest. I never come to this part of the dungeon. Makes you wonder though, if they have a larval form and an adult form, surely they have a pupal form, yeah? As far as I'm aware, that's the life cycle of all beetles, scarabs included. So where are the pupae? In fact, where are all the calphite pupae and the calphite larvae? I spent like 15 minutes killing Scabarites before I realized pages 18 and 19 drop from these chests, not from the enemies themselves. Oops. The notes reveal why the Scabarites are so aggressive. A mascot. Surprised? See, worshippers of Scabarus are obsessed with solitude, avoiding interaction with others in order to keep their minds from being polluted. A mascot disguised herself as a red chitined female and started chatting up the Scabarites, convincing them that the only way of finding true solitude is by killing all the surface dwellers. Ironically, they were right. Interacting with the red chitined female polluted their minds. If you got here from YouTube's recommendations, my recommendation is subscribing, so you don't have to rely on the algorithm to bring you back. I appreciate it. Love you. Bye. Lady Ithil wants some crystal weapons, and I've got a ton of harmonic dust lying around, so this shan't be a problem. Shan't. Why'd I write shan't? She reimburses us for the shards, so we don't really lose much of anything. Now it's time for some otherworldly fun. First, Frenesque. There is Erosian memory fragments scattered about that we need to collect and return to the memory hole, or whatever this is. Like Saren's memories on Frenesque, we get a cosmetic helmet override for completing this achievement. Not something I ever plan on wearing, but maybe it would go good with your outfit. The lore from these fragments isn't groundbreaking, at least not anymore it isn't. It may have been at the time, but I don't know. It mostly lays out Zarus' ethos rather than revealing some long forgotten history. Regardless of what he says or said, we know from his actions that he's a whiny little baby who can't stand the fact that he's not an Elder God and believes he's entitled to ultimate cosmic power. Speaking of cosmic power, let's investigate some cosmic horrors. There are some books we gotta collect. Isn't that different? What you and I refer to as cave horrors and jungle horrors are actually the descendants of a race that fled from the world called German. The Moanu were created by the god Tezcatlipoca, and believe they were his favored species since they were blessed with greater intelligence than the cohabitants of their world. Monkeys, apes, and gorillas. I guess gorillas don't count as apes. At some point, a god invaded the world, and the monkeys and apes immediately allied with it. The god, described as a great beast of tusk and fury, drove the Moanu toward extinction. They eventually made it to Galenor, likely via intervention from Tezcatlipoca, where they devolved into an unintelligent state, all while still holding true to their culture surrounding black stones. Sounds a lot like Zautak. Some eventually allied with Cranon the Ambassador in order to reclaim their homeworld, which has since been renamed to Bobanosia. The World Guardians slaughtered just about all of them. To summarize, horrors were Moanu from German that worshipped a pantheon of Lovecraftian old gods and have an intense hatred of monkeys. Milky Teeth. The Tooth Fairy will trade some teeth for a pet. Kebbit teeth from a kebbit, suka teeth from a suka, an old tooth from a dig site, monkey dentures from a monkey box, and a human tooth from under a human's pillow. There are some journals scattered around Tarthiad we need to collect. I do wish this was the last thing I had to do here, but there's another achievement which may take a long time to get. We need to get a super rare drop from the crystal shapeshifters, Angof's wedding ring. Yes, every piece of the crystal armor increases the drop rate, and wearing a full set of attuned armor makes the drop rate 1 in 10. But getting a full set of that armor will take hundreds, if not thousands of shapeshifter kills. I'm not looking forward to it, but the journals are easy to get. They outline the arrival of Saren from the perspective of the Cyware clan, a majority of which didn't leave for Galenor when Saren left Tarthiad. Ultimately, they began succumbing to the sickness caused by their sudden separation from Saren's power. They treated this affliction, addiction really, by singing crystals into their flesh, but this only made the craving stronger, mutating many into crystal shapeshifters, shells of their former selves. Their numbers dwindled. Their world fell silent. A slow apocalypse. Oh dude, check this out. These Bic arrows are amazing. Got a PB at Carapac by using my Vampirism Aura, a Blood Reaver, Soul Split, Weapon Poison+++, Cinderbanes, and Bic arrows. Now that I'm writing it down, it's kind of ridiculous how much stuff you need to do PVM even somewhat efficiently. And I'm not even mentioning the stuff I didn't change. Perks, potions, vuln bombs. There's a pretty high barrier to entry. Anyway, I was able to kill him in 2 minutes 30 seconds. Not the fastest, but I'm proud of myself. My first kills were more than 5 minutes, so I think I'm making pretty good progress. My next goal is to consistently push him to his next phase before he does 3 slams. I might actually be able to manage that with magic if he ever decides to drop a Greater Concentrated Blast Codex. As good as Bic arrows are, magic is much easier to upkeep, even if you're using Incite Fear everywhere. I only use about 50 Bic arrows per Carapac kill, but there's just so much involved in making more of them. I'm only using them because I have tens of thousands of Dine arrows from my 99 fletching grind. Since I'll be using Bic arrows for the foreseeable future at certain bosses, I think it wouldn't hurt to do some skilling on the Croesus front. I've got a Master Quest Cape requirement to square away here as well. 2 birds, 1 scone, you know? While skilling on the front, we have a chance of finding one of 4 books. Reading all 4 is a requirement for the Heroes of the Graveyard achievement. If you don't care about keeping any of the fungus, and I don't, you can just set your shark outfit to consume and AFK your life away and get copious amounts of Bic anima and Elder Troves. So I spent a few hours fishing and didn't get a single book. It was kind of odd. I went and looked up the drop rate, and a Reddit post said to double check with Gorvek if you've ever done any skilling on the front before. I have skills on the front, doing Hunter for quick and easy Zagamite food. Gorvek had all 4 books. I neglected to read one of them when I got it. Wasted a bit of time. Got plenty of anima at least, and the Troves had some good loot. A Parnix fragment. God damn it. Let's get back to archaeology. Here's my basic strategy. We're at 116 right now, and though we can excavate the Susaroth remains in the Infernal Source, I'm gonna focus on the Praetorian remains and the Bando Sanctum debris. The remains have a chance of dropping a piece of the Inquisitor staff, and the debris has a chance of dropping the Spear Tip of Annihilation. More importantly, both give artifacts that will be really useful for leveling later on. The 3 artifacts from the Praetorian remains can be turned in with 3 artifacts from the War Table debris at 118 Archaeology, awarding a random piece of the Inquisitor staff the first time, and 100 pylon batteries the second time and subsequent times. Collecting a bunch of those restored artifacts now will get us closer to 118 and help us level beyond 118 by using those batteries. It's like what I did with the Dragonkin 2 collection, hoarding those Rex fragments. The Bando Sanctum debris is excellent for farming Tetra compasses. All 3 artifacts are used in the Red Rum Relics 3 collection. The 4th and last artifact is a DeBossman sculpture, which you have a 50-50 chance of getting from the makeshift pie oven excavation spot at 119 Archaeology. That sentence felt like a run-on, probably because it was. To put it simply, I'll get to 118 Archaeology by collecting and restoring artifacts from the Zaros 114 spot and the Bandos 115 spot. I'll also be setting up my research team on long missions that reward over 200,000 XP each. Getting 117 actually opens up a few things. First, we can boost with an archaeology potion to 120 and excavate the last 2 Dragonkin relics, the Raksha idol and the gold dish. By placing the dish on the tallest ziggurat and the Raksha idol on the one just next to it, we can go to the monolith in the archaeology camp and finish the final Orthan mystery. This not only expands our monolith energy by 100, giving us a total of 600, but we can also use Mr. Mordout as one of our researchers. He's great. For every hour he's out on a research mission, there's a 1 in 24 chance for him to return with a Tetra compass piece. I assume this applies before time-reducing bonuses are accounted for, otherwise making the missions faster would make his ability worse. He seems to always find a Tetra compass piece when I send him out on a 24-hour mission, even though they finish within 14 hours. It's also possible that I've just been really lucky each time. If you have more information on this, let me know. We can also boost to 119 with our God Banner once per day for 30 minutes. This is, conveniently, enough time to use our Master Archaeologist outfit's Fixate ability 3 times on the makeshift pie oven excavation spot, guaranteeing 3 DeBossman sculptures. The cooking pots are basically useless since the collection they're part of also requires a DeBossman sculpture, so why bother? The first time we complete the last 2 Goblin General collections awards us with 2 halves of the Helm of Terror, granting us the Inspire War relic power. It increases all XP gain for all combat skills by 2%. Probably not something I'll ever use since combat XP is pretty quick to get. Come to think of it, using a combat relic in place of this one would probably increase your XP rate by more than 2%. It's not something I've tested, it's not something I plan on testing, and it's probably not something anyone's tested, but it just feels right? And when has intuition ever been wrong? As sure as the sun orbits the flat earth, intuition is flawless. Wilderness Flash events went live around this time in the footage, but I think I'll save that for another time rather than trying to shoehorn it into our archaeology adventure. They're interesting though, and that's all I'll say for now. Because I had a few Zerosian 3 artifacts lying around, I finished that collection a few times for the last bit of XP I needed to get to 118 Archaeology. With 118 now begins the long and arduous AFKing at the War Table debris. Well, I say arduous, but it's actually really easy. What's really annoying is that for whatever reason, I was getting an equal number of these globes as I was the other 2 artifacts. Not equal amounts of each, but rather half the artifacts I was getting was globes. The other half was split between the other 2 artifacts. If it weren't for the fact that I needed a lot of Tyrian purple to restore a bunch of artifacts, I'd be pretty miffed. And the longer I'm here excavating, the more chances I have to get an Inquisitor staff piece, so, you know, good with the bad. While I was camping this spot, I was busy doing calculations because what the hell else am I meant to do? I concluded that I need to make around 18 sets of the War Table artifacts to get enough XP so the pylon batteries I get from Soren can carry me the rest of the way with a big, chunky XP drop. I gave Soren 17 full collections, Velusia 1, and art critic Jacques one of the paintings. Soren doesn't give us any batteries for the first turn-in, instead he gives us a random piece of the Inquisitor staff, so now I have a bank space being used up by this useless sensor. Oh well. The 1600 batteries are nice though. Look at all that XP. Love it. Now we're in the final stretch. I think our best bet is to run around finishing up any collections I skipped over, get all that out of the way, then spend the rest of 119 gathering DeBossman sculptures so I can make like a dozen or so Tetra compasses. That'll probably get me roughly halfway to 120, then I'll figure out where to go from there. Probably less than that actually, since that sounds too good to be true. Maybe I'll go back to the Bandos Sanctum debris and try to get Bandos' spear tip. Annihilate me, War Daddy. Thanks for watching.